Good evening and welcome to Mahala Monday. Absolutely wonderful to have you with us as always. It is time, of course, for the show you've been looking forward to the whole week as we have been. My name is Dougal, and as always, to my right, always got to go left, right? Rhoda!
Welcome everybody to a fabulous show tonight, and for a fabulous evening we want to welcome you to our Mahala Monday show in the evening.
Yeah, I hope you're going to have a wonderful time with us. Now, it's an interactive show, of course, so we look forward to your contributions, your questions, your comments. Of course, Rhoda's got all the answers. But just in case, for the subject matter today, of course, we've got three wonderful experts as well. And let's get straight into it, because this is quite a serious topic. Now, as you would recall, of course, when was it, October? We had a whole episode around mental health.
That's right.
Didn't we?
Yes, we did. And it was quite interesting because, you know, just concentrating on what's happening around us after COVID, now people trying to pick up the pieces, you know, and I just think it's so appropriate that we actually have the experts here today. And one of the things that people neglected, Dougal, was the adolescents, the children.
Yeah.
And I think this is where people were concentrating more on the adults and not really concentrating on the children.
Yeah. Do you know what? When it comes to, I mean, just in today's age, I mean, you see it all the time, from movie stars to performers to sports personalities, and everybody coming out saying at some point in their lives, or currently, you know, there was, even at a youthful age, or whether they were at more mature age, that they were dealing with some mental health challenges. And it is pretty normal. But now we find ourselves at a different time of the year. As we all know, the year is basically done. There is just a few days to go before the year is basically finished, and we all start with brand new vigor. And now you've got all these loads from the year that is just on your back, and all of a sudden you go into what is also considered a very depressing time, Rhoda, especially over the festive time. Although it is the most joyous, most wonderful time, the festive time, but it is also a time that is significantly difficult for people, like you've said, people whose reality has changed in terms of their house setup. And also just, some people just don't want to be joyous. But then there's an added thing. You as a parent, what do you do with the children over the holidays? You know, you want to break yourself, you got to give attention there. And it's just a melting pot for quite a bit, isn't it?
It's quite a bit. And Dougal, this is why we've got the experts here today, because there's a lot of questions that a lot of parents have. And you know what? It's a live interactive show. If there's any questions you would love to ask, put it out there. We'll give it to our panel that we've got here today. And, you know, they're the professionals. They deal with us every single day. Let's see if they can answer some of your questions.
Yeah, and let's welcome them, because it is absolutely wonderful to have. We really have a proper panel today. We've got three wonderful guests joining us. So firstly, we've got Suzette Willemse, who is a social worker, who is a clinical social worker, who's joining us as well. We've got Annelien Cornelissen, who is an advanced mental health care registered nurse, and Sanmarie van der Merwe as well, which is a registered counsellor when it comes to mental health. So let's go to Sanmarie first. Sanmarie, who is a registered counsellor. Sanmarie, how are you doing? Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to Mahala Monday.
No, Suzette is a social worker.
I must say, it's so stressful. I feel like those teenagers now. Not knowing what to expect.
Absolutely no. And there we have Suzette on as well. Suzette, how are you doing? Are you well?
Yes, thank you. I'm very well, and thank you for having me as well. Yes, it's a great day. It's raining in the Western Cape. We love the rain. But also, this can also be a very depressing time for a lot of people. And it is good that we can talk about that, specifically when we tackle our youngsters. Thank you.
Yeah, and we look forward to talking to you as well. And thank you for coming on. And let's greet Annelien as well. Annelien Cornelissen, how are you doing?
I'm good, and yourself? Thanks for having us.
Absolutely brilliant.
We're good.
Listen, my first question has got to be for you, Annelien. Advanced mental healthcare registered nurse. What exactly? Just quickly, what is it that you do?
What it basically means is you do your 4-year course and then you get a degree or diploma
Yes.
after your 4-year course as a registered nurse.
Yes,
Then
yes.
afterwards, you can choose what you want to specialize in. Then I chose to specialize in mental health for a year. Then I got the extra qualification as a specialist in mental health care.
Oh,
Okay,
beautiful.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
No, it
it
makes
does.
perfect sense. It makes absolutely perfect sense. but let's get straight into it. In the opening bit, Rhoda and I remarked that I mean this is quite a strange time. I mean we're about school holidays are pretty much with us, although it's officially 2 days away, but you could say it's here. So we've gone through exams, children, and we specifically want to talk about youth. You know, they've just come out of a very stressful period, and then you have matriculants, of course, who's got a whole different level of stress. And just regular stress. And I just want to throw this open there before we move any further. Quite recently, we've noticed in mass media, of course, when it comes to celebrities, sports personalities, actors, everybody is coming out and admitting to saying, look, at some point in my life, I might have battled with some sort of mental health challenge. Do we find in today's society, specifically in our wonderful country in the year 2022, that there are now a significant number of or increased cases of mental health issues when it comes to youth? And I'm just putting that out there to any three of you.
Maybe we can just start by saying, so we are from the Department of Health in the Drakenstein Sub-District. So all of us are actually colleagues working together. We're only missing one, our clinical psychologist who couldn't make it tonight. And we've definitely seen an increase in cases, especially among the youth. And I feel like, or maybe this time of where we were isolated brought out all these emotions and feeling more depressed and not being able to socialize, see your friends, you know, that's kind of thing, having that one-on-one or having that personal contact that we used to definitely brought out more mental health challenges with our youth.
All right.
Sure.
So you're definitely seeing a bit of an increase, and specifically to the area and where you work. And we find that as well, Rhoda, that we hear a lot more of cases as well.
Most definitely.
For sure, we definitely did. And we see, especially with exam time and anxiety that the children are facing or getting now because they haven't been to school and all of a sudden they are attending school, getting used to being in full classes again, that kind of thing. We might think it's a normal thing, but it actually, children struggle to adjust again to having school, sitting in a classroom, being back in that routine. And then obviously they've been trying and studying so long by themselves, and now again having a teacher. It's been an adjustment for our kids and youth, for sure.
Most definitely.
Yes, and can I come in here as well?
Definitely.
And also when we see our children that's been exposed to other social issues. It's not only that maybe they're at school and there's challenges and there's certain anxieties that appears, but also where is this coming from? We need to look at what are the social circumstances, and most of our children, they're battling at home. And they're really having difficulties coping at home, then go to school and coping at school as well. And we can mention a lot of challenges that they are facing. And and the other thing is what we've realized is in how we see the increase in our numbers is that we are privileged that we can work in a multidisciplinary team, which means in when the moment a young person sees a nurse, that nurse picks up that there's something wrong, and then that child can be referred. And most of the times they are referred to our division, and then we can attend. Yes, and we work well together with our nurses, our psychologists, our social workers, and of course our medical officers. So it's amazing just the experience that we also have as officials working with these young people.
people.
It's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Annalene, just wanting to hear your point of view on that, seeing that Suzette
From
obviously
my
mentioned that the nurses being involved as well.
Yeah, from my side, particularly because in our team, I usually or normally work with a psychosis, with the patients that are psychotic. And the main reason our clients is psychotic, youth included, the majority of them is actually youth, is because of the substances. And that is why there's an increase in the mental health. That they get mental health due to substances, and we call it substance-induced psychotic disorder. So from my point of view, the substances also
It's a big
One of the
one.
problems,
perhaps
one of the big ones.
Yeah.
a big problem.
Okay.
So, Suzette, just to come back to you, you said there are many factors and many issues or concerns that could like sort of raise mental health issues. Now, the only thing I could think of now, when Adelaide actually mentioned the substance abuse, that was the immediate one. The only other one that I can have is obviously exam stress, and maybe something is not really, you know, as brilliant as it should be within the home environment. And then there's bullying as well, which is probably what are other things that a person's got to look out for? Suzette?
Okay, sorry. Okay, yes. Of course, you've just mentioned bullying now, and that is a huge problem that our youngsters are struggling with, and adapting, and making new friends, and being not only neglected, but just having that feeling of I don't belong, the sense of belonging amongst our young people, and acceptance for who I am. And we've also seen that there's many of our young people, they're struggling with the sexuality. There's issues with friendships. There's issues with relationships. And it's very sad also to see that at this young age, the challenges specifically when it comes to relationships. And how do I cope? There's young people that's in abusive relationships, and and we can mention many things that's really popping up recently, or nowadays amongst our young people, and how they really struggle to cope.
Yeah.
And we the support that we need to give, it really starts at home.
Yeah.
It's the first
Do you know what?
at
Just
home.
listening to you, I got to tell you, because even as a grown up, you know what I mean? We all have our challenges, emotional challenges. And then, of course, you know, when it comes to your mental health, you always want to be in a positive mind. You always want to be in a very, very good space. But you're dealing with real life issues. I'm not saying children don't, but you're dealing with life issues. And then the backdrop of having things like COVID, economic struggles, load shedding, amplify all of that stress, a child or youth will pick up on that very, very easy. And sadly, I'm afraid they do not have the emotional intellect yet to sort of deal with this, because they are still growing, aren't they, Rhoda?
So true and true. And I mean, if people kind of just look at that, understanding the fact that, I mean, our youth, our adolescents going through adult life, basically growing up, and they're going through hormonal changes. Then they've got obviously the acceptance. There's so many of those exactly that Suzette has mentioned that affects our youth. And I think parents out there, I want you to listen to this. You know what? It's like Suzette, Suzette said, right?
Yeah.
It starts at home. So I just want to start with San Marie. There's a question I would like to ask. So, San Marie, why is mental health support important when it comes to you? Why is it important? So just that everybody out there knows why.
You mentioned it already, like adolescents or teenagers are still developing, they're still growing. So they need a space that's a supportive environment where they are able to, you know, figure out who they are, what their beliefs are, what their values are. And our mental health include our emotional, our psychological, and our social well-being. And that inherently affects how we think. And if you think about it, how you think affects how you feel. If you think negatively, then you don't feel so well.
Exactly.
And if you don't feel well, then you're not going to act. So say you don't like, you're thinking negatively about your mathematics. then you when you feel about or you think negatively, so you feel like I can't do it, I won't be able to pass. Then when it comes to exam time, you don't want to study because you're already thinking you're not going to make it, you're going to fail. And therefore, our mental health affects our day-to-day challenges. And globally, they estimate that one in every seven youth or young people struggle with some kind of mental challenge or mental illness. And this can be seen through depression and anxiety or behavioral disorders. That's some of the main things that we pick up on. And I think communication is such a big problem. People don't know how to communicate with each other, and parents don't make that time to have that communication lines open with their children. And that's why it's such a big thing.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, the support is just super important. But I mean, that's a scary stat when we look at like 1 in 7, and that is globally, isn't it?
Yes. So it's quite a lot. If you think about it, in a classroom of 30, there's quite a few people that might be struggling.
I'm just thinking of that now. Wow.
And how would normally, how does it work within your work experience, within your professional lived experience? How does it work? Do teachers or guardians, do they identify that we might have a problem with little one, especially in a school environment? How are you alerted into the system?
Okay, so normally a teacher would normally pick it up, yes, but a parent can also pick it up with a guardian, and then they will come to the clinic or the facility and mention it to the nurse. That would be our first stop. To mention to talk to one of our nurses or one of our practitioners and say like, this is the problem, we're struggling with this, or the child, this happened, this trauma came, and this child is struggling to cope. And then it gets referred to us, and then we have a meeting, and the child gets allocated to one of our therapists, who will then contact them for an initial screening and decide upon an intervention plan, specifically then catered to that specific child's needs and challenges that they're experiencing.
Okay.
I just wanted to put Hubert's comment up there. I actually saw it, and I'm actually just listening to this, and what he had said there was very similar to what I wanted to say. He says, you can't control everything. Self-care is how you take your power back. And as a guardian, 26% a business owner, what are the telltale signs? You ask, what is the telltale signs? The question is, how, what? 20%, where do we go? So obviously looking for where do they get help.
Yeah. And so parents could come to you, obviously come to the clinic facility as well, or somebody at school could highlight this as well.
Yes.
Now what we're focusing, now let's say, let me just throw another example in there because I've got something I actually want to ask Annelies, and especially with the problems. When it comes to a loss of a family member, or sickness, health issues with the guardians, and especially when children are living at grandparents, and mobility issues, and in a lot of ways the youngster becomes actually the leader person in the house, all of this. Can the youth themselves just come and knock on the door?
That is so true for post-COVID. So much of us have lost family members. And grief is a big theme that's been coming through. So for sure, if a child can come themselves, they need to be 12 years or older to give permission. Otherwise, we need a legal guardian to give permission to keep all that protocols and ethical things in place. But a child can definitely for sure come to the clinic and say, like, I need support, I need help. And we would like to support the social workers in the community where they are at, or any leader or anybody can actually refer a child. It's not like it needs to be a specific person, as long as we get that the permission from parents as well.
And it would be a brave youngster that actually comes and just knocks on the door with immense insight and immense determination.
Sure.
I mean that
you guys know teenagers, they don't want to share normally.
Exactly.
They sit there and look you in the eye until they open up, and then it's just like overflowing.
And grown-ups can't do this, and this is why this is such an important conversation. This is why this is such a challenging topic, because anybody that would have a mental health, you I suppose you don't even know that you just know you're not feeling as you know, I mean, it all manifests in different ways. I mean, there's no two that are the same. But Annalene, I want to move to you quickly. I want to ask you this question because earlier we touched on some of the causes, what could lead to mental health problems in young people. And the immediate thing that you mentioned is substance abuse. And we know when it comes to youth and adolescents, of course, that this is something that is, you know, it is there. So what other things could lead to this?
First, I want to say is when you as a parent, guardian, etc., see that there's a change in the child's, the adolescent's behavior.
Yes.
This is not the normal. Emily, it's not right. Why is she withdrawing herself? Why is she crying all the time? You understand what I'm trying to say? Why is she not taking care of herself? She's neglecting herself. She smells foul. Why? You have to, okay, something is wrong with this child. So the causes of mental health, there's always a precipitating factor.
Okay.
Why? You understand what I mean? But the causes mainly is the substances, number one. And the majority of the time, people seem to forget genetics. In my profession, I deal with the majority of my clients as schizophrenia, adolescents also. So most probably, the most of the time, then their parents, their great-grandparents, they were also diagnosed with a mental health issue. So we mustn't forget that their genetics is a big factor in causing mental health issues in adolescents. Then the issue anxiety disorders, your bullying. Say, for instance, I am bullied. Of course, I'm going to become depressed. I talk to everyone. No one is believing me. The child is bullying me at school. My peers is bullying me. I'm going to get depressed. I'm going to become anxious. You understand what I'm trying to say? And then there's the social media. Social media. Yeah, I must have the perfect body. I must know this. That leads to a mental health issue, anorexia, bulimia. That leads to eating disorders. You understand what I'm trying to say? And then there is risk-taking behaviors. But why? Then you need to ask yourself. Like we usually ask ourselves, we always go deeper. The mother comes to the child. No, this child of mine is drinking every weekend. Why, mommy? Why? Then when the child is receiving therapy, then you will get to the cause. No, ma'am, I'm being sexually molested. That's why I drink. I self-meditate. I try to forget. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So that is some of the causes of mental health.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask you. I mean, and that is actually where I didn't want to bring that up, but I mean, you know, sadly, I mean, the reality is, and we all know our experience. I mean, things sometimes get violent, and sexual misdemeanor is a big cause of this, an absolutely huge cause of it, which actually sometimes, or just the general abuse, and if I can use the word abuse and sort of umbrella paint that with that as well, that actually leads to the substance abuse, and then for years and years, we still have this going. Which is, and this is why the parents are super important, the caregivers. I almost want to...
I actually just want to ask you, sorry, Dougal. So the question I really want to ask as well, like say I'm not the mother, I'm not the caregiver necessarily, because the mother's not coming for the caregivers, nobody's coming forward, and you as an outsider see, but there's a problem here. There's definitely the child's moods has changed, something is different, something is off. How do you then, where you can't approach the parents because the parents don't really want to do the you know, what a guardian doesn't want to do, can I then come to a counselor or somebody and actually ask them how to assist, to be able to get to that child that is not being blocked off from getting help? Annalene?
Okay.
Oh, okay, fine. Suzette, you can answer on that one?
Yes. I think it's important that we all know that anyone can come and report a case where there's a need for intervention, specifically when it comes to mental health. So if I'm a friend and I see my friend is not fine, then I can go and report that, and I can ask for help. And if I'm a teacher, as you've just mentioned, if I'm a parent, of course, parents take care. And it's important that we do not, as a community, do not ignore the reality that we are all facing. And that the nice thing about specifically mental health, the services are available. And if people can just know that, and that is why we so actively involved in making sure that we do awareness about mental health.
Yeah.
And specifically, yes, we love it. Our coordinator is crazy about awareness and making sure that we're out there and people know about the services that we render.
And I must say, I mean, the mere fact that we're actually talking about this right now
wow.
is testament to your efforts, and likewise for people within your professional fraternity, that definitely makes everybody aware about it. But I want to ask you this: how can parents and caregivers now support their young people through these challenges? And before I ask you that, Suzette, I also want to preface it this way, because anybody that eventually gets diagnosed with a mental health issue. This is something, you get diagnosed maybe in December, but signs were in January. This is not like you go to the doctor, I've got a sore throat, and yeah, you've got this disease or sickness or whatever, tonsillitis or bronchitis or whatever. It is not an immediate diagnosis. This is something that could take months, years, decades. This could take a long time. Sometimes we have, and especially to what Annalene was just saying a moment ago, sometimes we have a sexual misdemeanor at a very, very young age, and it only manifests itself at the age of 24 or 30 even, or at the time when you have to get married, and now things are, and for both males and females. So how can parents and caregivers then support their children through these challenges? If my child has now been diagnosed, seeing a counselor is within your system, what is the immediate thing that I must do?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that we should put in effort to protect our own mental health. So mental health care starts with the self. The first thing is that we should start with the self. Me as a person should also take care of my own mental health. Then when it comes to our family and friends, people, we are currently in a time of love, of care, of peace. We want joy. This is a special time. It's a time of celebration. And there's so many people that's not experiencing that. So what we say is, and this is a time for families to be together. So we are really encouraging families to listen to their children, to talk to their children, and not ignoring signs. When they see the child is sleeping too much, check on that child. When they see the child is not attending to their studies or doing things that they don't normally do,
Exactly.
they need to check the child, tap on it, and make sure that these things are taken care of. Build a very strong relationship with your children. Relationships are crucial. This is really helping families to not only nurture their children, not only taking care of them, but also to make sure that their mental health are okay. And
Yeah.
then building then that trust amongst the family members. Um, I've mentioned earlier how our children can be rejected because of who they are, and that's so important that we are not judgmental towards our children and help our children when they have challenges. So the support, um, just the first thing is love. Né? If we can give the love that we as individuals should give to someone, we all are in need of love.
Exactly.
And if we can start with love and care, it we already built a very strong wall that everyone can climb when we as a community stand together and just love and care and making sure that our young people are safe and their mental health are taken care of.
That's so true.
Well, I mean, you touched on a lot of things there. You touched on a lot of things, which I think is going to be a whole different episode. But I mean, you summed it up beautifully. It is just love. It is just
love.
absolutely love. That is
true.
you just got to be so supportive. You just got to be supportive. And do you know what? And I don't know, because this is one of those things where I disagree with a lot of people, because I grew up with the saying, "Cowboys don't cry." I mean, I'm sure you've heard this. We've all heard this. Do you know what I mean? Like something happened, I was told immediately, cowboys don't cry.
Yeah.
I've never been a cowboy. I never had a cow. I'm not a cowboy. I've never been a cowboy. But it was obviously said because cowboys were considered macho, and you know what I mean. And that's just it's you know, don't overreact. But this is, and I know it's something silly. I know it's something stupid just to call it that. But what it teaches us is the lack of acknowledgement for when something is awry.
Stigma.
So what I mean is, if something goes wrong, for me, if Rhoda says to me, this is the problem, it's easy for me to brush it off and not acknowledge her problem. I mean, the way she responds to a problem, I respond to two different responses.
Yeah.
And whenever I hear cowboys don't cry, I think of that. I think
mad.
like, sometimes I cried. Sometimes I didn't cry and exactly the same thing happened. But at least if I had the acknowledgement, that meant that there was the support and I could vent, whatever that meant. And I think this is an important thing. And when you spoke now, Suzette, about love and just the general support, that is the immediate thing that came into my head about cowboys
Nothing
don't
wrong
cry.
with crying.
See, I vented now. I did it. I'm
Nothing
good.
wrong with crying. Annalene, I just wanted to ask you a question, Annalene. So obviously now we figured out there's a problem, we need to get support. So what kind of support can I expect when I reach out to staff at clinic or at other facilities? What do I expect?
Before I'm gonna go to the support, the other leading cause of mental health affecting adolescents is the stigma. I forgot to mention it earlier.
Yes.
The stigma towards mental health.
Oh, wow.
And you can ask my colleagues, we are all very fond of mental health and passionate. We have clients that so afraid to tell their parents, "Mommy, I've been diagnosed with general anxiety. Mommy, I've been diagnosed with depression. Mommy, I've been diagnosed with schizophrenia, whatever, because of the stigma. Because if you are a mental health client, people say, "Oh no, she's crazy. Oh no, that one is talking to herself." But the question is that I want to ask to the whole of South Africa: what if it happens to your child? What if your child starting, "Mommy, can you see there is a man?" The child is the only one that can see that thing. It is their reality. It is their truth. But we all know in the normal sense there's nothing. "Mommy, I hear stuff in my head." What if it happens to your child? Will you still be so, "Oh no, that one is crazy, that one is that"? You understand what I'm trying to say? That's why the people, they are having mental issues, but they're afraid to talk. They're afraid to ask for help, because then they will be regarded as crazy. And we don't have crazy clients.
Yeah.
Because mental health is an issue that can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It is.
Life is tough in the lewe druk. We all are human at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So true.
No, and when it happens, You're absolutely right.
So
You're absolutely
true, so
right.
true.
And
people is uninformed. People is really uninformed. Come to the clinic, ask for the mental health care sister or the mental health care team. We can inform you, so you won't be so stigmatized towards our clients.
Exactly.
It's not fair.
I actually wanted to ask you that question because I saw that pop up on one of our questions. And this is, what do you do if you are a youngster? And this is a question that we got from one of the viewers. What do you do if you're a youngster and you think you're suffering with a mental health issue, and you try and approach your guardians or your parents and all of that, but they all just brush you off? Nobody is coming. What do you do? Is there a different way that you could approach the subject with your parents, or maybe skip them altogether, come see people like you, or go see another auntie or uncle that you trust? What advice would you give?
But personally, if you in such a issue now. Okay, my parents won't believe me, whatever. Go to the clinic, go to the hospital. We will help you. There is help. And if needed, then we will, if needed, it will get therapy, medication, whatever, depending on your diagnosis. Then, as time goes by, we will then get family therapy. Then we can have your parents in the therapy and um, consultation with them. Tell them what is mental health, how they can support you. Rather than we failing you and we the most of the times I tell my clients we don't want to lose face. I told them when the go to the hospital, talk to someone, talk. There is help available. Rather talk and be judged than we losing you. You understand? Then we failing you.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. It is emotionally hard to hear what you have said because it hits it on the head. I mean,
It's reality. It's reality that we every day that we deal with.
Yeah.
well, most
Really,
and,
it's
and
really sad. Our clients, we have empathy for our client situations. It's really sad. The poverty, the communities where they come from, and I salute those clients. They don't have safety pay. They don't have
No.
nothing, but still they come for
They
the
come.
consultation. So they come for the medication. You understand what I
Yeah.
salute those clients.
because the reason why I'm
Yeah.
saying you're hitting on the truth as well is the fact that most of this, and I mean, let's be honest, is where we've the people they are meant to look after, the people who are meant to lead by example, were not leading any example for that matter. The people who were meant to protect were either careless or absent in their protection and allowed for the vulnerable to be hurt in some sort of way, or we ourselves have done this. And then, of course, the genetic argument is something completely different because then there's that. Substance abuse is something completely different. But vastly, every single case I could think of is normally somebody did somebody wrong.
Okay,
And that is where I get annoyed.
Can we come back to that question quickly on, obviously, when we get to the support, what support do you get once you come to the clinic? Can you take us step by step exactly more or less what will happen once I get there?
Say, for instance, I come to the clinic. I feel, okay, I'm 16 years old. Nobody wants to listen to me. I don't feel right. Something is wrong with me. I come to the clinic. Okay, first you will be most the security personnel or the admissions personnel will see you. Okay, sir, madam, how can I help you? No, sir, I need to see the sister. Okay, then we'll say that is a normal CNP. That's now by the clinic. How we work there at Drakenstein Sub-Districts. And then you go to the normal CNP. The CNP is gonna ask you questions, the normal full medical workup, full medical history, forensic history, and especially with clients that comes with complaints of mental issues, you need to do a urine tox. That is where the first visit every time. Say, for instance, okay, all the urine, everything is normal, all the blood is normal. Then that is now if it's not a crisis. If it's a crisis, then we need to deal that time. They're gonna call me or call the MO, the psychiatrist, the client needs help. Say if it's I come in with suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideation, self-harm. The client needs definitive help now. Usually, we contain the client, and the client will be sent to the tertiary or the regional hospital. But if the client is now fine, then they usually refer the client to the mental health care team. Then we discuss the client. Adolescent is best suited for Suzette because mostly it's social issues that leads to this mental health. Maybe I'm feeling depressed because I don't have money. Maybe I'm feeling depressed because my children don't have food to eat. The majority of the time, I always say to my clients, and you can ask my colleagues, the last thing that we must give a client is a tablet, a pill. We must see what we can do beforehand. If we remove all the social stuff, if we remove the abuse of husband, then the client will feel better in their household. If we try to find the client a job, then the client can provide for the family. Then they won't feel so depressed anymore. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if there's no social issues, the client is just depressed or whatever, then the client most probably is going to see me. Then I will do an MSc, the whole workout in consult with the or then we will most probably start patient. If we first start with the medication, we'll follow up weekly to see if the medication is working. You understand what I'm trying to say? If it's not working, my say if the client is still psychotic, maybe it's substance-induced psychosis, still psychotic, we increase till the client is stable, till there's no perceptual disturbances. Say, for instance, this was our first episode psychosis, substance-induced. The client has been on medication now for a year. And then I tell doctor, no man, this client has been on this medication for a year, he's been clean for a year. Then we will most probably decrease medication until we stop it. If it's still psychotic without the medication, but we decrease and the client gets more, then we know that substances triggered the real mental health issue. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Then we go back to the history that we took. Oh, my mommy has schizophrenia, my aunt is bipolar. Then is where the next come in. You understand what I'm trying to say? The majority of the time, what I saw or what I came to realize is that the substances, whether it be alcohol, dagga, whatever, usually trigger the real under.
Wow.
Say, for instance, if I'm now 4 years old, I've never used substances in my life, and suddenly I've been diagnosed with a mental health issue like bipolar or schizophrenia. That we call organic. It's without any substances. But I'm 24. I use substances, and now I developed schizophrenia at the end of the day. The schizophrenia was all there already there. The substances just triggered it quickly. Yeah, then I got sick at 19 years old. If I didn't use any substances, I maybe would have got sick at 24. You understand what I'm trying to say?
See what you're saying, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Answer your question, Babs.
Yes, no, definitely.
Sudbury, we're about to wrap up. Now, may I ask you, just remind us of some of the signs, what we've got to look out for when someone may be experiencing mental health challenges and need help. What are the things we need to be on the lookout for?
Okay, perfect. So there's several things that parents should be on the lookout for, and these can include like high stress levels. So your child is experiencing headaches all the time, complaining about back pain or shoulder pains or things like that. That can all be indicative of anxiety, experiencing some form of anxiety. Also, a change in their normal behavior, change in their appetite, suddenly they're eating more, eating less. Their sleeping change, like they're staying awake or struggling to stay awake, sleeping all the time. Their social behavior change. And if this continues for more than 2 weeks, like if they're experiencing these symptoms for 2 weeks or more, then there's definitely cause for concern. So you can look at your thinking change. You might feel more sad or irritable, and it's easier to think about the negative than it is to look at the positive side of things. Excessive worry or fears, it's not normal to feel that so much worry or to be so scared. Dramatic, as I said, eating and changes. Suddenly you don't want to with your friends anymore. You don't enjoy being social. And don't enjoy the normal tasks that you used to. You're afraid and you don't want to do things anymore. You're anxious in every situation. Or when they express that I actually don't want to live anymore, that they feel hopeless or helpless. That's definitely causes for concern, and then parents should definitely step in and seek out some help. And we don't need to be ashamed or scared. Like, I know people don't sometimes even want to go and get their medication because they're ashamed people might see they're taking an antidepressant. But if it's going to help you to feel better, it's going to help you to stabilize yourself. So you need to think about what's important for people, what people are thinking, or my own health, how I'm feeling and dealing with my things.
Yeah.
Wow.
And those signs that you've mentioned, I mean, there's no particular order. That's just... It's not like things are built up to a point.
Yes. and it fluctuates. Today you might feel a little bit better, and tomorrow you're physically down, you're feeling you can't get out of bed. So it doesn't actually, it's sometimes you cry, sometimes you don't. It's not always the same. And as you said before, it's not the same for everybody. So we need to see like if there's changes in that person, like their personality is changing now, the aura is changing, and it's continuous for more than 2 weeks, then we should be on the lookout for something.
And I mean, let's be honest, we all have trigger points. Sometimes you just hear a song on the radio, you see something on the TV, you see a car drive past, it's a trigger point. It's not necessarily there, but it's a trigger point. Just when you thought you were hitting, you know, a sort of a nice plateau, and all of a sudden things kind of go the other way. Want to touch base on some of the supports, but also this is such a profound topic. Profound in the when it comes to adolescent mental health. I mean, you're in your formative years, you are emotionally all over the place, teenager, difficult as it is.
Social media.
And I wanna close this out before we get details how people could reach out. But I want you, what advice is you would give to parents?
First step, the observation have about adolescents. To ignore, just mention a few things now, and it's important that we go and sure you are there, and I will come listen and talk to you. In itself, something that you're doing, because that is key.
Someone else, just if there's anything that you need to talk about, come to me, come and tell me. Don't be shy, don't be ashamed. Like, I'm here to help. I'm not gonna scold you or judge you or say you're wrong for it, and experience it for you. So it is
space for your child. Create a safe space for your child, so that to go outside or try to hurt, but come and speak.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, super important. Emily, did you have anything to add?
I just want to thank the parents that have children that has mental health issues. It's not a nice journey to be on. But I want to thank you, because without you, I've been working with clients, especially sometimes they don't what I don't my child that don't, so that people who's dealing with issues, I know it's not a nice road to be on, but you are not alone. We are here. We can help you. We can talk to you. This is to say. Thank you.
Yeah. This is I said earlier, this is a profound topic. You almost need another hour on this. And I want to thank you from Rhoda and myself. Thank you so much for your time, because we know we scheduled you in for half an hour, and just about we've kind of tried to get away with it. But thank you for allowing us the extra time and just to talk about it. But this is such a emotional, profound topic. It really is, and it is a conversation everybody should just be having. But firstly, because there's one or two comments that quickly, where do people go? There's a plethora of contact details. During of the show, we've been having phone numbers constantly going there. At any point, you can just you will see a phone number. But Saint Maria, what is the quick, most effective way to reach out?
Suzette, you're
Suzette.
going to do that.
I was going to say Suzette. Yeah.
Sorry, Suzette, yeah.
Tell you
Suzette.
now, of course, there's child, and we would like contact Childline to Childline. We have Lifeline, and we have the numbers as well. We can provide the numbers. We have our suicide crisis line that's available nationally, and then South African Depression and Anxiety Group. Anyone can experience mental health challenges, so we are in reach out. And most importantly, I just want to say, except for your immediate family, talk to a friend. And make sure that you talk to someone that you can trust and that is willing to. Don't you know you need a. It is always.
Thank you very much for saying that. You know what, and I must say to the three of you, I mean, we definitely applaud your efforts and the amount of work that you do. There was a comment that came on earlier from Danelle saying you're super proud of all the work that you do, and of course advancing skills and tools on people with their mental issues. You make them have the amazing work and knowledge and information that you pass as well. So to you, all very well done. I still want to stress the fact, because as grown-ups, anybody who's got a professional job, any work, any organization in this day and age, it's got some sort of employee support program or whatever you want to call it, you know, whether it's a wellness program, and then Wellness Day, assist line, is sort of is absolutely are their support.
Exactly.
So me as a grown-up, I've got that at all the places I work. I pick up the phone, I bump into them, I was like, I need help, whatever. Youth don't have that. They don't work. And this is what gets all the time. And we can't be the of somebody not living their life to the fullest and not reaching the levels that they are very capable of. Absolutely so much on Mahala Monday this evening. You've given us quite a bit to think about the rest of season. And we thank you very much. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you for just out.
Thank you for
Our
only a
absolute pleasure.
pleasure.
Only talk to the best.
Bye.
I talk to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for joining us.
Have a fabulous festive season.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
And we wish you all the best as well for your holiday season as well, which is
wow.
absolutely brilliant. Rhoda, I tell you, this is a heavier than I actually apologize. Much more heavy than I anticipated. Because I started about this the other day. All of a sudden, school holidays, what do you do? Our kids are going to be triggered. Then come on. You realize it's not just, and this is,
Yeah.
who's not, no, don't wake up.
In fact, people as this every single life, you know, and from the heart, passionate, through also those through. I actually for me extremely.
It was actually asked willingness to health is just general person's, and I never asked the question. I think it is where secret
talk about it.
But you got to realize you got to be happy.
Exactly.
You got to realize you got to work very hard to make you happy. What you cannot do is make somebody else unhappy.
Just before we end off, and we need to end off now because we've run out of time, parents out there, you know what? You, at the end of the day, how you got your child, how you ended up having your kid, becomes your responsibility. It is your responsibility to look at your child, see those changes, and for you to act on it. Not turn away and look the other way and make as if the child is not there. That child is your responsibility. Once that child comes into this world, you took on that responsibility to make sure that you are the adult that needs to look after that child. So please, step forward, parents. You need to take responsibility of these kids that's actually going through depression, having to experience things that they can't even speak to mother or about going through.
Yeah. And during the program, of course, we had those numbers. You can see them there at the bottom as well. Those numbers, South African Depression and Anxiety Group, the suicide line, and all of that. If you have any issues, please pick up the phone, somebody. People and in the Drakenstein Sub-Districts, they do amazing work, and there are many, many other professional individuals like them as well that contribute to everybody's mental well-being, and of course making sure that the status of the nation is fantastic. So there's always somebody to reach out. Sorry we kept you longer than normal, but this is also our final show for the calendar year of 2022. So we had to get in every single little word that we could possibly get in, which we've now successfully done, haven't we?
Successfully done, Dougal.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, and everybody watching Mahala Monday, 2022 has certainly been an interesting year. It has been a year filled with amazing highs, incredible and outrageous, beautiful, memorable moments that will last with all of us for quite some time. Here at Mahala Monday, we certainly have tried to make and provide you with brilliant information as well as insights and opinions to make things better, but for everybody as well. So for being part with us for the year. And as our this festival is the most loving time and around. 2023 be the year that you could possibly not even dream it was going to be that. That's the kind he's going to
saying driving, it's driving out there that's traveling right now or going to be traveling. Safe travels.
Yeah, have the best one.
And we will see you in 2023.
We'll be back in January. Yeah. And of course, remember, thank you, everybody. Yeah. I'm not going to mention all their names, but it will take too long. But they do an amazing job, and they work super. And to all that through the year as well, thank you very much for being incredible journey. And we'll different you.
By saying, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell.
See you soon, everybody.
Bye.